All right, hello. I am Wallaber, and I'm continuing to work on this Twitch chat game that I've been working on recently. So the idea behind this game is that it's a game that can sort of constantly be played while a stream is going on. So in the future, when I'm doing other streams, dev streams and stuff, I'll have this game constantly running on a portion of the screen, and it can kind of provide sort of some constant entertainment to make up for how incredibly boring I am. So the concept of this game is it's called Chat Predicts, and it's a prediction game. Let me run it real quick. Let's make sure nothing's broken. So the basic idea here is that this ball is going to be bouncing like this. Right now, if you were to get in your votes, it would be worth 1,000 points, but you have to guess which bucket the ball's going to end up in down here with only this much information. Now it's flipped over to 750 points, so less points, but you have way more information, and based on this, you might be like, okay, I think it's going in 1 or 2. So you can just type those votes in into the chat, like let's say I think it's going to go in 2, and then you'll see here that it says Wallaber voted. Now these other ones are fake players that I've put in to test the game. Ooh, interesting. It bounced right off the divider there. Now it's down to 100 points. So this is the most information you're going to get, and looking pretty safe that it's going to go in bucket 2. So I'm feeling great about my vote. And here we go. Let's see the reveal. Boom, it went into bucket 2, and then a new one starts. So the goal for today is to actually make a recap screen that happens between rounds to show all the players what points they got and who's in the lead, etc. And so that's what we're going to start working on right now. Look at that, that's definitely going in bucket 2. Currently, there's only this one hard-coded layout, but of course, actually, each time it refreshes, there would be a new board with different, walls and obstacles and things. And okay, so overall, I'm pretty happy with the sequencing of this section. So I'm going to start working on the recap. Now, the plan for the recap is going to be pretty simple. We're going to make... So we're going to make a little prefab here now for it, which is like a tile, and there's going to be a tile per player, and then we're going to have an algorithm that kind of decides how to lay out those tiles on the screen. So what we're going to do is we're going to create an empty thing. We're going to call this a recap tile, and the plan is that let's put this at 0, 0, 0. Okay. So they're going to be some known size, and then we'll be able to scale them to fit into our layout plan here. So I don't know what size we'll make them by default. Let's figure it out. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to add, we're going to call this the backing. So this is going to be the backdrop. We'll have a backdrop, and we're going to have a text. And this is going to be the player name. We're also going to have a text that is the player score. And we're going to need another one, I think, for called score change, which we'll use to show when your score changes. And then we're going to need a placeholder for their profile pic, which we don't know what that's going to be yet. And so today that probably is going to stay a placeholder, but eventually there'll be some option for players to have a specific image to set as their profile pic. Maybe I'll pull the ones from Twitch. Maybe I'll let you set an emote. I don't know yet. We'll see. Okay, so these are all the pieces we're going to need. Let's go figure this out. I think we're going to say that we want the origin of this thing to be in the top right corner. I think that would be the easiest. So let's go like this. Let's add a we're going to add a shapes rectangle. Super simple here. And I don't know, let's see, what size should we make these by default? We could make them like 1 by 1, or we could make them, you know, 4 by 4. Let's try 4 by 4. So this would be over 2, down 2. And the size here would be 4 by 4. Okay. That would be the size if we want to show just 2. I do actually want, we're going to scale this, but we're not going to worry about that right now. Let's just get the layout working. And we're going to set ordering for all these things. Now, we're going to turn off the game board when we do these, so we don't need to worry about that the ordering needs to be relative to the ordering of all the elements on the game board. So we're just going to leave this simple. We'll say that the backing is set at 0. Okay, now let's give it some example color here. Something like this. Okay, then let's get the player name, and this is going to be scaled down. And the way this is going to get set here is we're just got to kind of try to frame this properly. So it's going to have about this much space here to show the player name. Okay, so let's see here. This is going to be, we'll probably have to do an auto size, but let's just say for now, it's like a certain size, and it's going to be centered and middle aligned, like that. Okay, so this would be, you know, this would be like Wallaber or whatever. Or it'd be some longer name like, you know, user with long name. And so I think what we'll do right now is we'll just let it do like a break like that to make it fit. The other option would be that we don't overflow, or we don't wrap, and we just do an ellipses. And then we just have to find the right font size to be an okay. Then we've got, since it's going to be a square though, I think I'd rather let it actually wrap like that. And now should we leave it like this, like that is, and then it goes like that. So if it's extremely long, it will still work. Okay, so this is going to be user name. And then in theory, and we should set this here, that our sorting order right here is going to be 1. So we're on top of the backing. Okay, now let's make a similar one for the player score. Oh, and we actually made a nice option for this that is an outline. Yeah, we can actually just use this built-in one for now. We're going to end up swapping out the font at some point with something with a little more, I don't know, specificity to it. Okay, so we're going to do kind of nice dilated text with an outline. I think that looks nice. There we go. Okay. So now player score should be centered down here. Okay, this is just going to be a number. Let's see, we made this font size 24, so let's try 32. How big of a score can we fit? Here we don't want wrapping disabled. So let's say it's, you know, 9,999,999. Okay, we can fit at least that big of a score, so that's not too bad. And we'll make this also use the outline. Okay. So there's like a username and the score. Then we need this one, which we're going to animate. So this will be also scaled down here. Okay, and then we want the font size to be like, I don't know, smaller, centered as well. And this is going to be essentially set to be like right here. And eventually what's going to happen is this is going to like animate up and show the change, whatever the change is. Or possibly it's going to be like if you earn points, it'll be like boop and pop up, or if you lost points, it'll be like zzz or something and shake. So that should be cool. And let's do an outline on this, but we'll do a different color. We're probably going to change this color based on what happened. But for now, let's just give it a color. Let's make this a little smaller. Okay, so this would be like, you know, plus 1,000. You know, or something to that effect. Okay, so let's go back and look at this. This one we set the order in layer to be 1, so player score should also be 1, and then score change should be, let's say, 5. And then the profile pic, which is going to be a sprite. Let me just bring in an example sprite right now. And I got to think a little bit about how we're going to do. Let's see. This should actually be pretty small. This we want to be in front of the sprite. So let's make sure we set, actually, instead of 1 for the layer here, we're going to set 2 for this. Player score, we're also going to set to 2. Score changes 5, that's fine. And then profile pic here, which we may have to do some math at some point here to get this to be the right size, depending on the source image size. Let's see, should we just get like some kind of a temporary image to use? Like, yeah, I'm just gonna pop over to the internet and be like profile placeholder. Yeah, we can just grab something like this. Okay. Yeah, let's grab this. Okay. No, you can't see what I'm copying and pasting right now, but it's not that interesting. I'll be back on the screen here in a second. So these are going to be the little tiles that show each player's current score, and then we're going to do some cool animation, hopefully, to communicate changes in rank, essentially, like a leaderboard. But I have an idea for how I want to show that visually. We'll see if it turns out as cool as it seems it will be in my brain. Hopefully here pretty quickly. Okay, so we're switching over here to, hopefully, what happened with my Photoshop? There we are. Okay, so this is going to be our temporary example profile pic, and let's see. Yeah, I actually really like the idea of using emotes for this. I think that'd be really cool, and it's kind of a little bit more of a Twitch native idea. So let's assume that this then is going to be representing a random emote. Let's go look up real quick what emote. What size is it? I think the largest one is 112 by 112. So let's assume that's what we're going to end up having here. So I'm going to set this image to be 112 by 112. This is our fake emote here. We're going to save this into the project. Assets. I don't even have a textures folder yet. I guess it's time to make one. Okay, textures, and this is Emote Proxy. Okay, so now we can hop back over here and we can go to textures, Emote Proxy. Good, this is already set up as a sprite. So now if I go here and set this, and it's going to be huge because I scaled this up a bunch. Now we should be able to guess at a scale that's at least reasonable. Okay, so yeah, this is starting to get somewhere. So let's say that this thing's going to be 1.8 in scale, just for now. And now let's go look at this. So player name. If we crunch it up like this, what happens when it goes to 2 lines? Okay, it doesn't fit 2 lines right now. I have to be at least this big. Yeah. a lot of space to reserve. We could push down the size of the text a little bit. Put something like that, and then when it's not that long, it's like snug right there. We could probably pull this up a little bit as well, because we're really just trying to handle that it looks okay when there's just one, and then when it's long, it's like, it doesn't look great, but it's not bad. Yeah, I think that's okay. We'll call that okay for now. I have to make this look a little prettier later. We can go to the score, and this one we can definitely adjust to fit a little like tighter down here. Maybe like that. Which maybe means actually we could bias the profile pic to be a little bit lower, like right there. Yeah, something like that. Okay, and then score change, this can also be squished a little bit. I don't know why this needs to be accurate, but I just feel like it should. And then we'll put it like right here. Okay, cool, so there's our basic tile. So we're gonna need a script so that we can do things with this. So we'll go here and we're going to make a new script. This is just going to have the same name, recap tile. And we need to be able to do things to all these pieces. So we'll give ourselves some references here. So we have the backing. We had the user name. We have the user score. Okay, we have the score change. And then finally we have a sprite renderer, which is the profile image. Okay. All right. And then we're gonna probably have some kind of a public void setup method where we pass in the username. We're gonna pass in the user score. And we're going to pass in a color for the backing. Okay, so this is where we're just going to do the layout to the screen. So in this case, would be like backing.color equals backing color. And then we'll say username.text equals username. And then user score.text equals user score.toString with an n0, which means put the commas and stuff in. And then for now, we're going to say score change dot text dot enabled equals false. So hide the score change for now. And then we're going to need the ability. Oh, we're also going to need to know how big is the native size of a recap tile. So that is going to be private vector2 native size, and we already know what it is, so I'll put it in here right here, but we can change it if we end up changing it in Unity, like in the editor. And so we'll need a public vector2 native size getter here, so that in other places in the code we can figure out how big that is. Okay, so then we're going to end up having a function at some point here. It's like public void show score change, right? And then int change. And here's where we might potentially do different animations. We're going to want to also keep track of private vector3 Score change home position is what I'm going to call it, which is basically like, where did I author the position of that score change text field, because we're going to animate it. And so there's going to be times when we might need to snap it back to its authored starting position. Okay, because here's what I think we can do. We're probably going to want to expose a few other parameters here for animation purposes, like let's just do private float score change animation duration. And let's see, it's going to be like 1 second, I think, probably. Okay, so now down here, let's, is it a positive change? Question mark. So if change is greater than 0, then let's do this like little slide up animation. So first off, we're going to, no matter what here, or yeah, let's set the text first. So we're going to say score change dot text equals, and we're going to do a plus, and then change dot toString with an end 0 to get commas and junk. And then some kind of little animation here. So, and then we're going to do this. We're going to do score change dot enabled equals true. And we're going to try a super simple animation right now where it just slides up a little bit and then disappears. Maybe later we'll try and sequence this where maybe we should try our first sequence here where the text fades in, slides up, fades out, something like that. I need to look up how to do this anyway, so why not make that be the thing we do right now. So let's see here. Let's go like this. And go like this. Okay. So we're using this thing called Tween, which I haven't really used before. Amazingly, I've made a lot of video games, and I have almost never used tweening libraries. Partly because I'm just one of those people who likes to write things themselves, and so would just like write the logic to animate things myself. And partly because I started using Unity back when some of these cool things were less robust. So for this project, I've decided to try using Tween to see if I can increase my productivity for such a simple game, and just kind of test it out, see if I like it or not. And we've already used Tween a couple times already, and it's pretty cool. Now, this will be the first time we're going to try doing a sequence where we actually sort of like want to chain together some tweens. So let's go figure out how to do this. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. Performance. Yeah. Where's the examples? Here we go. Documentation. Maybe we want, Tween init. Okay, creating a tweener. There's all the cool shortcuts they have. Creating a sequence. Sequences like tweeners, but instead of animating a property, they animate other tweeners. Sequences can be contained inside other sequences without any limit to the depth. The sequence tweens don't have to be one after each other. You can overlap tweens with the insert method. A tween sequence string can be nested only inside a single other sequence, meaning you can't reuse the same tween in multiple sequences. Okay. Don't use empty sequences. To create a sequence, follow these steps. Grab a new sequence to use and store it as a reference. All right, well, that makes sense in this scenario where we're going to have a sequence we want to use. So we'll have a private, oh wait, we need to use our, we need to be like using dg.tweening. Okay, so then this is going to be a sequence. So this is going to be our, what is this? Score change sequence. Maybe that's kind of a long, a super long variable name because we might be typing it a lot, but let's roll with it. So this is going to be, and how do you get one? You get one by calling doTween.sequence, which, do I just need to, Okay. I don't know if I can do that here in the initializer, or if I'll need to do that down at more like later in the runtime sequence. We'll see. Okay, so then what we do? Add tweens. So you just call append. Here's an example. My sequence equals doTween.sequence. Then we're going to append a transform.doMove. And then, so if you call append, they just put them in sequences. Then delay the whole sequence by 1 second, prepend an interval, okay. And insert a scale for the whole duration. So insert, okay, so this first value in insert must mean the start time or something. And you can also chain them together like this, where you do mySequence.append, boom.append.prepend.insert. Pretty wacky. All right, so let's try some simple stuff here. So we're gonna say score change sequence dot append, right? I guess, although we want a new sequence here, so I don't think I need to keep this as a member variable. We're just gonna, we need one in this moment right here. Actually, we're gonna need one that we share here, or we give different values to. So let's do so we just call the sequence here equals doTween.sequence. Okay, so then we can be like, all right, the sequence, we're gonna append score change dot do color, do fade. Do fade says, what's the end value? The end value is going to be 1.0f, right? The alpha value. What's the duration here? Good question. We have an overall duration we've thought up here. So let's just say we're going to do like a 0.1f or something. And then we're going to say from, and it's going to come from 0.0f. So we want to fade in. Okay, so we append that. Then we append a movement. So this is going to be score change dot transform dot do local move y. Where's it going to end up? So we're going to need to decide how high it goes, but right now we're just going to say this. We're going to go to this dot y plus, you know, score increase, what is this going to be? Score bounce height. Not really a bounce, but whatever. And the duration of this is going to be duration minus 0.2f, because we're going to have a 0.1 at the beginning and a 0.1 at the end. Maybe? I don't know. We'll see. And then we say dot from score change home position dot y. Did I get all that right? Doesn't like something. Let's see. Well, this isn't defined. Let's start by defining that. So this is going to be here in our animation section here. And I don't know, we'll just say 1 unit for now. We'll go tweak this later. Okay, so that's happy now, ish. We're appending this whole thing though, so we need one more. Okay, and then we're going to sequence.append a score change dot fade, do fade. We're just going to fade it to 0.0, and we're going to do that over 0.1f as well. We don't need a from there, because we already know we faded in up here. Okay. All right, and I guess that's it. Okay, now we may want to add some easing here. So we could do it like this, where we do that, and then we do set ease ease dot what? I think we want it to go like fast in and then slow down. So that's out. Let's It's like out cubic or something like that. I think, right? Probably something like that. I'll try out cubic. Okay. And then real quick here, let's just write this other case, and then we can start testing this. So if this is a negative change in score, then the score change dot text equals just change dot toString, because this should have the minus sign in it already. And then we can be like score change dot enabled equals true. Oh, and then ideally what we want to do here is we want to say sequence dot on complete. And we just want to score change dot enabled equals false, just to kind of clean up after ourselves, which should be cool. Okay, so in this case, we're gonna set this true, and then let's do like a shake. So we'll do sequence dot append. For now, let's try the same thing. We're gonna fade it in, and then we'll fade it out, and we'll do this like that. We'll do all this as well. But the thing we do in between is different. We're going to do sequence dot append score change dot transform dot do shake position. So how does this thing work? The duration is going to be score change animation duration minus 0.2f. And we have a bunch of values here. So it'll be score shake strength, score shake vibrato. And for now, let's just say those are the only two values we really want to include. Okay, let's go define these. This was defaulting to 1.0. What was this defaulting to? 10. Oh, that's an integer? Really? Are they both integers? No, vibrato is an integer. Interesting. Okay. All right. And why isn't it happy with this down here? Or is it? It is now. Okay. All right. And for now, that's all we need from our tile. So let's go back to Unity here. And this thing, which is our example of a player's information tile, we can now add that script like that and connect all these things up. So here's the backing, here's the name, here's the score, here's the change, here's the profile pic. It's 4x4 by default, and here's these values we're gonna test out. Now let's look at this real quick. So if this goes up by 1, that's pretty high. So I think I'm gonna make this 0.5. Oh, not that one. That was the duration. Let's say that's still 1 second, but it's gonna go up by 0.5. There we go. Okay, now this is going to become a prefab. Oop. All right. So now, we're going to want to we're going to need a way to hide the board, but we're going to use these extents. Did these get set at some point? Oh yeah, those are the visual edges. Okay. The board. Let's go remind ourselves how this works. Layout rect can give us some information, right? It can give us, yeah, normalized positions and stuff. Okay. So we're going to use that. I think. Yeah. We don't want to do that. Okay. So the next thing I want to do is I actually want to do my little layout here. And so it's like we showed the board, then we essentially need to hide the board. And so let's just add in a new thing here. This is going to be the recap root, or recap sequencer. Let's just call it that. Okay, and this thing's also going to be placed at 0, 0, 0, just to keep things clean. And now we need our script. So let's make a new script called recap sequencer. And this is going to need a few things in order to do its work. The first thing it's going to need is layout rect. So this is like the working size of our game, which is going to come from the board, I think. Although we may want to separate that, actually. We'll see. We may have to clean that up a little bit later. Then we're going to need a reference to our prefab. So this is going to be a recap tile. And this is our tile prefab. This is just a reference to the prefab so we can instantiate it. Okay, and so then let's try this, you know. So we're going to say public void layout now. And then we're also going to have one called public void cleanup now. And ultimately here we're going to have a private list of recap tiles. And this is like our live tiles. Yeah, well, that's a good enough name, right? Okay. So let's do this. Now, do I want to do this programmatically or with some data? I wonder if we could use like, whatever. Let's just do this with some data. So it's going to be, we're going to have a serialized field, private. This is going to be integers. And it's going to be players per line. And let's give this a default. The default is going to be 3, 5, 5. Into like 8, 8, 8, and then after that there's like 12, let's say. And so the logic for this I'll explain in a moment here. But now what we're going to do is we're actually going to try and when you call layout now, we're going to need a we're going to need some player information. So what do we need? Let's go look at our game manager. Game manager actually has the in-memory records for the players. So we'll probably just want to pass this along unless we want to give this screen a little bit less information. I mean, there's a bunch of junk in here that we don't need over there. But it wouldn't be too bad an idea just to hand this off to that screen. We have their score. Yeah, let's do this. So recap sequence is going to define its own thing. This is going to be like a public class player info. And all we need to know is player name, player score, and then public int score change. Yeah. Now, a couple things I got to think through on this, but that's going to be okay for now. We got to handle the case where people are AFK, and what feedback do we give in that scenario? But we'll cross that bridge in a moment. So let's just start this. We got a class here like a struct. We can add and remove things to it over time. So then we're going to be expecting to be handed a list of player infos when we are told to lay out. And yeah. Okay. We might need to hold on to this. Let's go ahead and do that. It almost would be nice to have a reference to their tile here then too. Yeah. That's a little gross because then like game manager would have to just know not to populate the tile reference. Let's keep it simple. Okay, so then what we're going to do here is first of all sort it. So let's store it. So player infos equals player infos. We're just going to keep a reference. We don't care about making our own copy or anything. And then we're going to sort it. So we need to sort by score. So we're just going to do underscore player infos dot sort with our own little method here, which says, hey, given entry A and B, we will sort them by doing what? By comparing. So we're going to return A dot player score dot compare to B dot D dot player score. Although what this will do is it will return in ascending order those small numbers first. It would be more convenient for us to have it the other way around. That's easy enough to do. There's a couple ways you could do it. One way is I think you could call, like after you sort this array, you could be like player infos dot reverse. Or we can just sort it the other way around. So we compare B to A. And that's essentially just going to flip the order, which in this case is what we want. So now this list is now in order of descending scores. So let's just go ahead and try to actually lay this out. So let me think about this. We want to make a loop now where we essentially like instantiate tiles and set them up and lay them out. And I've got this thing here which is like, how many do I want to fit across the screen in each row? So what we can do is we can be like, let's try it this way. So we'll say int count for row, and that's going to equal this. And actually we'll say like we're going to do another thing here, which is like int row index 0, right? And count for row is going to be players per line row index. Okay, so at the start of this, right, we're on the 0th row, so we're going to look up here and say, okay, we want to fit 3 players in here. And it's going to be something like this, like int player index equals 0. Then we'll just be like while player index. Yeah, actually, no. Let's do this. Okay, so we're going to loop over for int I equals 0. I is less than player infos dot count I plus plus. So we're just going to loop over all the players, right? And then Yeah, okay. And so then what we're going to do here, we're also going to need a thing that's like vector3, my current position, right? And this is going to be, it's going to start in the top left-hand corner of the board, which in order to do that, we should be able to say rect dot get normalized position vector2, and we want to go over 0 but up 1, like that. And then we also need a thing that's like float rect width, which is the x size of the rectangle. And then we also need the size. So this is going to be float tile size equals, and it's going to be the width divided by the count. Okay, so we're getting close. So now we let's just try getting the layout first of all. So this is going to be making a tile. So player tile equals, and we're just going to instantiate a recap tile. Okay. And it's going to come from our prefab, like that. And then we have to set up some stuff. So we call setup, right? We're going to pass along. Oh, let's go ahead and get our, what do we call this? Player info. So player info pi equals player info's I. So now we've got that little helpful, this is player info pi. So now that we have that, we can pass along pi dot name. We can pass in pi dot score and a color here. So for now, let's just try alternating colors. We'll see how that looks. So we're going to need some options up here. So we'll say, oh, we can just make it a list, right? So it'll be like tile colors. Okay. And then we can even keep track of right here, int cur color equals 0, right? And so then what we can do is we can say we want to use tile colors, and the index into that is going to be current color modulus tile colors dot length. So that should set it up. And for now, that's all we're going to do. We're just going to create these. And then we also need to actually here be like player tile dot transform dot set parent. Let's set it to ourselves. Don't do any funny business with the position or anything. And then player tile dot transform dot local transform dot local position equals cur pos. Okay. This has a space option, so let's make sure we're asking for this in local space. Okay. So here we went ahead and we created this, and then we set the values on it. Now we need to continue layout. So we will do count for row minus minus. So let's think this through. On the first loop, that number would be 3. We decrement it to 2. We move on. We decrement it to 1. We move on. We decrement it to 0. So when we hit 0, we're at the end. So if count for row is 0, go to the next row. So here we go, curpos dot y minus equals tile size. Right, we're going to go down one tile size. We need to reset the x. Curpos dot x equals, and for now I guess we're going to assume this is 0. We probably should be caching it somewhere. Okay, so we go down one and reset like a typewriter. Ding! And then now we need to get the new count. So we do row index plus plus, and then count for row equals players per line, and then we want to find the minimum between row index and players per line dot length minus 1. So this will make it so that if we didn't author this far enough, we need more rows than this thing says. It just keeps reusing the last number over and over again. Because we say, hey, what row do we think we're at? Which one's smaller, the current row or the end of the list? Whichever one that is, look it up. Okay, so now that we know that, we can recalculate tile size. Like this, based on our new amount. Oh, wait a minute. This is not taking into account the size of the tiles. So what we need is actually this. We need tile prefab dot native size dot x times the count. Or no, that's wrong. That's wrong. What we actually need to be doing, this is fine. This is telling us how big is the tile supposed to be. And we need to set its scale right here. Transform local scale to be what? And so let's say the tile size wanted to be 8. The native size was 2. So you need a scale of 2 to do that, double. So that means we want to know, we want tile size divided by the player tile dot native size, and then we're going to just use the x value here. Right, and this is just it's going to be vector 3 1 times this whole concept, so we get the same number for the x, y, and z. This also means, pardon me, that when we go to our next row here, we actually need to take this into account. No, we don't. No, we don't. This is just moving down the tile size. Okay, so when we go to a new line, what do? We reset the typewriter. We said we're on the next row, and we figured out a new count and the size. If we weren't on a new line, then we just need to do curpos.x plus equals tile size. Just slide over. Okay, and this should just loop for as many players as we have. Current color is not getting incremented, so we need to increment that. Okay. Right. So then we can do a thing out here where we say like public void go sequence. And for now, we're not really going to do anything special. Maybe let's see. So now let's go look at Game Manager. So now Game Manager is going to want, it's got the simulation, it's got the board, it's got the reveal here, and so right here, let's start talking about the recap. So we're going to have a we're going to have a recap sequence reference. And that's about it. So then what we're going to do is the recap sequencer is going to take in a system.action called onComplete. So this is basically like the game manager is going to say, hey, go do your sequence, and when you're done, call this function, please. So then what we can do for right now is we'll just invoke, and I guess, yeah, we should probably just do it like this, where we, yeah, okay, fine. So we're just going to say invoke done waiting after, 5 seconds or whatever. This is just debug. We're going to get rid of this really soon here. And then private void done waiting, and we just call, oh, this is not going to be, no, this is not good. Because we need to be able to call this. So we'll just do start coroutine sequence. We're going to end up needing this coroutine anyway, so why not do it right? So private IE numerator sequence, and then we have our system.action on complete, and we're just going to do yield return new wait for seconds, whatever, 5 seconds, and then we're going to call on complete. Okay. All right, we've almost got all the piping in place. So now we can go to Game Manager here, and we have our recap sequencer. And so now, when the reveal sequence here, right? When it's done, right now it's calling score recap. And when we get here to score recap, we need to, ideally we need to hide the whole board. So let's try that. So let's just do current board.gameObject.setActive false. So this is our gross way to hide the board. And then we're not going to need all this debug stuff anymore, because we are going to, am I going to just delete this? Let's leave this in for a second. So we'll print out all this junk. Okay, but now let's try and do the actual thing. So we're going to say sequencer layout now, and we're going to need to provide it with the player info. So we'll create that. Then we'll call do sequence, or go sequence, and yeah, and then we're going to have a thing here like bool sequence is done is false. We're going to call it with a thing that says, hey, when you're done, set sequence is done to true, please. Then we'll just say while not sequence is done, yield return new wait for end of frame. So then we make it down to here, the sequence must be done, so then we can say recap sequencer dot cleanup now, and then we can say current board dot game object set active back to true. Okay, so there's our basic plan. Now we need to make our little list here, so we're going to have a list of recap sequencer dot player infos called recap players, and then we're going to just loop through. I guess let's actually do it up here like we did before. We're going to do this. Okay, so let's loop through our user entries, and then we'll be like recap players.add a new player info, and the information in here is player name? Player name equals kvp.value.username is player name in one spot, username in a different spot. I'm nothing if not inconsistent. And then player score is going to be kvp.value.cumulative score. And it was pending score was the change, right? Yeah. No, we actually need to do the grading here, but for now let's just We can do it right here. So we're going to grab this, and then we'll say score change equals if the pending vote is equal to the bucket ID, then pass in KVP dot right. Do I actually apply them here? I do right here. So this is not debug, this is applying the scores. It also happens to be creating some debug output at the same time. But we decided that what we did was when you get it right, you add the score. Let's do this. Int score loss equals. I want to try this thing where we half your score if you get it wrong. Might be too punitive, but let's see. So this is going to be e dot cumulative score divided by 2. So then we say e dot pending score equals negative score loss, and e dot cumulative score minus equals score loss. Okay, and then right now there's no penalty for being AFK. So by the time we get down here, cumulative score is up to date, but it's with the changes. So I might need to rethink that a little bit. Yeah, so it should actually be like this. But then the score change is just kvp.value.pending score. And that's it. So we add those into the list, and then we pass it into the recap thing. So now we should be seeing the score pre-change and the change. Okay. All right. All right. We're getting somewhere. It's about time to start testing this and see what pieces are broken. Let's go back here to Unity and see if this even compiles. Almost. Go score recap. What's the complaint here? Oh. Right, I suddenly want this to be a coroutine. Okay. Okay, so where does this get called from? Right here. We actually need to be like start coroutine of the score recap. Okay. What else we got? Okay, compiled. So we need a recap sequencer script here. It needs to know about the layout rect, and it needs to know about the tile, the recap tile prefab. It needs some colors, so let's give it 2 colors for now. It'll just be like sort of a orange and a slightly redder color. Players per line is already pre-populated. We're generally happy with that, we think. Okay, now the game manager needs to know about the recap sequencer. Alright, so if we run this, so we get our trajectories here. We have all of our fake players voting. I think this is going in bucket 3, so I'm going to vote a 3 here. And Wallaber voted. There we go. Ooh, looks like I was wrong. But we'll see. Now for testing purposes, I should speed this up, because this is set more to like the proper tuning for the game, not getting me quickly to test my code flow. So let's watch this through once, and then I'll speed it up after this. Okay, here's the last voting chances. Obviously going in bucket 2 now, so I was wrong. If I try to vote bucket 2 right now, it won't work, and it'll say I already voted. And restart, here we go. Boom. Okay, look at this. So we got a layout, and it shows a bunch of people with 0 scores. Now let's go look at our printout here. What did we get for the results? The results say that Faker 1 got it right. Faker 2 was wrong. Faker 3 got it right, blah, blah, blah. And that the current standings should be Faker 7. Where's Faker 7? Right here. And then me, which is weird because I didn't get it right. I don't think. Shouldn't have. I might have to double check this. Sorry, Wallaber, you already voted. Yeah. Okay, we've got some bugs. Good news is, though, that this layout is looking kind of like I anticipated. Might be a good idea to have a little spacing between the objects, or to have more colors so you can sort of differentiate between the players better. Okay, and then somehow these scores did not make it across, it seems. And the order seems weird. But that's probably because it looks like if these are all zeros, then this is just how I decided to sort it, if it was a tie and everyone had a 0. Alright, so let's take this one step at a time. So first off, let's go to the game manager and let's speed things up a bit. So the reveal steps, we're going to set them to be 3 seconds each. Okay. And oh, I'm just going to make a quick note for myself because I noticed something just now. Calibrate playback, calibrate reveal little duration to an even, to a, what's the right word? To a, to the nearest full playback iteration. Don't end halfway. That's just going to be a policy thing that we'll get back to later. Okay, first off, why aren't the scores coming across? So when we go to our recap sequence, right, which is right here, we've got a score here. So that kind of nothing obviously looks wrong here. So let's go over here and look at, we're calling setup. We're passing in the player score or the player info from the list here. Let's see. So let's just do Okay. So let's just print this out. The other thing is, it seemed like it gave me points there, even though I should have had it wrong. Because I voted a 3. Right here. Got chat message from Wallaber 3. So let's double check that it's actually getting it right and wrong, but let's run it again here. Alright, so where is this going? We don't get much time to vote here. It's going super fast. So it's going in 3, I say. So I vote 3. Right? And then it goes in there. Okay. Alright, we got all zeros here. Look at this. We got zeros for scores. So we must be doing something stupid when we are preparing the scores back here. So up here, we loop through the user entries. If they have a pending vote, and if it's correct, which, by the way, did it say I got it correct on this one? Right here. It says everyone was wrong. That seems a little concerning. Because didn't I vote 3? I did. Start the sim routine. So we find it here because it gets set right there to the index. So we gotta find where our problem is here. So let's do right here. Let's print this out. Okay. And then let's go look at this again here. So when we want to recap, we loop through here. If they have a pending vote, if the vote is the bucket, we say they got it right, and we add some score. Otherwise, and let's get rid of this stuff. We don't want this anymore. Okay, otherwise. Oh, hey Zeratok, how's it going? Thanks for dropping by. What time is it in your neck of the woods? Just debugging a issue right now with my little chat game. I'm 8 a.m. Oh, well, good morning. It's 11 p.m. here. I know I'm looking very orange, but that's just because of the lighting here at night. Let's see. And we're assigning some junk here. And it's being assigned properly because when we go to here and we like make a little temp sorted array and print that out, everything works. Usually you stream around my 4 a.m. Yeah, probably. This is, I'm heading towards the end of my stream time right now, actually. Indeed. So what's the deal right here? Why is this wrong? Also, what happened to the music? Ah. Music has been taken over by a family member. Yet another indication it's about time to wrap things up. But we gotta at least get this fixed and get the layout looking correctly today. So what is the problem here? I mean, first of all, let's just get rid of this part. Just to see if we were doing something dumb there. We are doing something dumb there. Never mind. On the very first round, of course the score is going to be 0 at the start because the cumulative score is just the result of whatever this first pending score was. Obviously. So that's okay. The thing is that when we do our sorting over here, not here, over here, we can't just look at the player score. We have to look at the final resulting score, which would be b.player score plus b.score change. And compare that to a.player score plus a.score change. And then and then we're still going to see zeros for now because we don't have the sequencing to update the score. So let's also add that in a second, I guess. Right. So then what we'll do is we're actually going to call this function now. Oh, Discord is pretty active again. Good. That's good news. I'm excited because when I wake up tomorrow, I can post the levels for our first Pro Gymnast competition. I think they turn out pretty cool. I'm looking forward to seeing if people enjoy having a week or so to sort of like challenge a specific level. Okay, so what we're going to do here is first show... Which one? What should we do first? Should we show the people who got it wrong? No, I think we should show the people who got it right. And so, oh, not here. Sorry. This line, this code was correct. This is calling a coroutine. This we don't need. Think of releasing a video for the competition. Explain, is it? That's good. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Especially because the specifics are a little, there's a little bit of like details. Like you could, for example, show people how to install the levels into their game and stuff, and then walk people visually through the replay exporting process. So I think that would be really helpful. Okay, so first show players who gained score. So this is just going to be really simple. We're just going to be like for yeah. So bool is done is false. And then we'll just be like for each player info pi in player infos if pi dot score change is greater than 0. Then we need to do our little animation on them. So we gotta find their tile. So this is gonna be a little weird, but we can just say recap tile player tile equals find tile, and we're gonna pass in the player name. We could have duplicate names. Let's use player IDs. So let's add this in. So we're also going to need public string player ID, and the tile can have also a like a private string player ID with a getter and a setter. Oh, sure. So Zeratox asked me to explain what I'm doing. So, I mean, obviously I'm coding, but what I'm coding. This is not Pro Gymnast. This is like a little mini side project I'm doing both to make my streams more interesting and to learn more about Twitch and how to make things that integrate with Twitch. And so I should have it back here in a minute or two where it we'll be able to run it and you can see what the game is. So what I'm doing right now is fixing up. Okay, so we have that now. So then down here, I'm fixing up like that. this score recap sequence where it's going to show all the players in this game. The players would be the people in chat in the stream, all the players in this game, and their people who got score, people who lost score, and then they're going to shuffle and change positions to show the new leaderboard. And we need to right here pass along the player ID so that, or I guess we could just do this. Equals pi.player ID. Okay. Then we need a way down here to find one. So this is going to be find tile, and you pass it a player ID. This is kind of a dumb little search that we're just going to do because why not? So tile equals for each tile in tiles, live tiles, if tile.player ID. Yes, so you're programming something for Twitch to make your chat more interactive. I didn't know Twitch would even let you do that. Yeah, so it's pretty cool. If you can stick around for a few minutes until I can actually run this again, I think you'll think it's pretty interesting, because basically I'm going to be able to make a game that's visually occurring on my stream, and that is able to see things that people are typing into chat, which allows them to interact with the game, and it's really cool. It's surprisingly not as complicated as you might think. But hey, if you don't stick around, no big deal. I'll be doing this for, every now and again. So this is going to be just return tile. And if we don't find one, return null. Okay. So then up here, we can be like, if we got a tile, which I hope we did, we can do tile.show score change. And the change is this change. Okay, now we actually don't need this bool is done thing. What we can do is we can just now yield return new wait 4 seconds, some amount of time. So let's say doesn't this have a property? Doesn't this have a property? Oh, it doesn't have a getter on it. Public float score change animation duration. Really long name. Okay, so then we can do that plus, I don't know, a second delay or something. And now let's do the people who lost score. So this is just going to look for a negative value here. Not all those things, just a negative value, please. There we go. And then we'll wait again. And that'll be that. So then if we go back here, we do need to do the thing there where when we show the score change, we actually want the last thing we want to have happen. We want the score to update, or we might want that to happen simultaneously to this. So this would be like sequence dot, what is it? Insert. Okay, and then we want to insert it into the position of 0.1 seconds in. We want to insert in what? We want to insert in, ideally we want to transition the number over time. I don't know if there's a built-in way to do that. Let's see. What does this do? No. Let me go back and look at this real quick. Right here. Alright, let's just try using the generic one, because I think this thing shows us how to do that, and this time I learned how to do that. So it's a getter, a setter. Okay. So it's going to be like returning my vector, then a setter. Okay. Okay, so let's try this. Oops. Oh, dot 2, okay. So this is going to be now do you get the value? The value is, oh, sir. Thanks for the sub, man. That's totally unnecessary. Thank you very much. Now you can use emotes, I think, including possibly the jelly car one, which is pretty cool. We need some pro gymnast emotes up in here, but I'm not fully up to speed on how you, like what emotes are available and how I can use them. There it is. Nice, super cool. I promise I've almost got this working. Let's see. So this is the header. So we're gonna say we want right. So we need a score display. It's gonna start with. Do we actually have it as a variable here? We don't. So let's actually do this. Maybe we'll even do this the simple way. Let's do this the simple way. So we're just going to have private int display score. Okay, that is going to get set right here, like that. And then we can just be like, okay, so the value in question is display score. When you want to set it, you can just set display score to X. Okay, and then what value are we trying to go to? We're trying to go to display score plus change. Okay, and then the duration is let's see. The duration is score change animation duration minus 0.2f. This is turning into quite a little chunk of code here. And then ideally what we want to do is here we also want to call update display. I would just set it right here, why not? So we do this, and then we do user score dot text equals display score dot toString and 0. Okay. That's going to need brackets now. Like that. Okay, I don't even know how many of these things we need over here. How many do we need? 2 of them? Okay. Let's see if this works. This is my first time trying to use this new crazy sequencing system. Okay, we should be closer now though. Quick test to see if it runs. Did I need any other Oh, I needed one other thing, which is here. Where we, not here, down here, not here. Here, we need to pass along player ID equals kvp.value.player user ID. Okay. Well, now in theory, okay, ball is bouncing. People are voting. Zeratalk, I will explain this in just a second if it works enough to be time to explain it. So here's the recap. Boom. Okay. Okay. So we still had all the zeros there. We didn't get any cool sequencing happening here. So let's go look into that real quick. Oh, but, I shouldn't have. Oh well. Yeah, and cleanup now didn't happen. Recap sequencer go sequence. Did we no. On complete. Is that your first time running the code? No, I mean, well, running the code since I wrote a whole bunch of changes since a few minutes before you joined the stream. Let's see. Do we need to do anything to start these? I don't think so, right? All right, so here, let me set it back to slightly more interesting version. So the basic idea of this game is that a ball is going to fall and bounce around, and you are trying to guess which bucket it's going to fall into. Right now, it's showing only a portion of the trajectory of the ball. But if you got your vote in right now, it would be worth 750 points. And now you can see this much of the trajectory. And then if you wait, then it's going to switch here to 300 points, and it's going to show us more. So that might be enough right there where you say, oh, okay, it's going in 3. So if you just type a 3 into chat, you'll see here that it says like Wallaber voted. So I put in my vote for bucket 3. And now it's down to 100 points where it's giving you almost the entire trajectory of the ball. And I have fake players in the game right now just so I can test what it would be like to have lots of people voting all at once. And it goes into here, and then in theory what's going to happen is this screen here is going to be the recap screen where it shows all the players, and then their scores are going to change based on if they got it right or wrong. And then they'll shuffle positions, and then we would reset, and we would start another round. Now, according to this, everyone was wrong, which seems a little fishy, because I have fake votes that are supposed to be being cast. And then also what's weird is that when we get to here, oh, well, that's because recap sequencer cleanup doesn't actually do anything yet. So let's actually clean up now. So this should be pretty simple. We're just going to say for each player, tile, recap tile in live tiles. And we're just going to destroy the tile.gameObject. And before we do that, we'll do tile.transform.set parent to null. Which isn't super necessary, but we'll do it this way. And then we can do live tiles.clear. And we can do player infos.clear. Okay. Now one thing we need to do is we need to work out why some of the voting logic seems to be busted, but let's test it again. Okay, here we go. New one. So not seeing much trajectory right now for the 1,000-point vote. I would maybe say I'm going to be bold and vote a 2. It says it entered bucket 1, which is actually number 2 here. I voted a 2. And so you could put in your votes if you want right now. It'll actually work. There we go. Or it'll somewhat work. We'll see. So then it's finally showing us, yeah, okay, this is where it went, and we're gonna get this is your last chance to vote, this is pretty generous. And then there it was. Okay, so now I'm gonna pause for a second, and we're gonna look at this. Down here, it prints out the results, which is a little hard to see. Let me move this to here so we can see it. So it said that Wallaber was wrong, which is a little concerning to me. There is a delay between your input and showing up. Yes, that's why there's that period of time where it keeps showing you the same section over and over again, because it's trying to make sure there's enough time there that if that's where your vote was, you have time to input it. I will be also putting in a thing where, like, let's say you're watching it and it's kind of nearing the end-ish or whatever, and you type in your vote, and by the time, because there's a lag, right? Like there's a delay between reality and then when you see it on the stream, which can be up to several seconds. And so if you type it and then the game sees your vote, but it's already moved on to the next segment, I'm going to put a threshold there where it's like, if I get a vote and we're just in the first few seconds of the next phase, attribute it to the previous phase. So now I think tonight all we got to do is we got to figure out why the votes are off. So for example here, Zeratok voted a 2, which should have been correct, because a 2 in computer speak is actually index 1, and up here it says that the ball went into the bucket 1. But down here it said that Zeratok was wrong. So we have a problem here. And I think it's just that I'm not doing the -1 somewhere that I'm supposed to be. What happens if you multi-vote? So your subsequent votes are ignored, and it will tell you that. It will say, like, you already voted. So that's to encourage you to vote early to get the points, but also when you're voting, you're truly committing for that round. All right, so let's go look at this. It's got to be where we get the votes, which is down here. What we're supposed to be doing right here is we say, hey, take what they wrote, turn it into a number. If we succeeded at that, then subtract 1 from their number. And if we're in the range, or sorry, if we're out of the range, then we say, just kidding. And if it wasn't a number at all, we say, just kidding. And then here, if it was a vote, we go in and we look and we find the person. If we already found the person, there it is. If not, we grab a new one. We are double minusing 1. So there's a problem. Okay. All right, so now that part should be working. I think our recap isn't working particularly well. Let's test this out again here. So there we go. Here's our first thing for 1,000 points. Where's that ball going? It's going to come up here. It's going to bounce. I think it's going to bounce and hit this thing again. Yeah, pretty sure it is. And then it's going to come off here at a rough angle. So let's wait for that. I'm going to wait for this 300 here. But based on the 300, ooh, I think it's going into. Here's the 100-point vote. So this is the most information. Oh, it went in 3. It's going in 3. Totally going in 3. So there we go. And then in theory now, what did it say here? Should have said I was wrong, which I was. But it did say that some of these fake voters here, these fake players that I've got implemented, got it right. Which makes sense. But our sequence didn't do anything, and we moved on without cleaning it up or anything. So that's a little concerning. And now we have this weird junk hanging out back here that we should not. Okay, so let's just do a slight bit more debugging, and then we might have to call it for today. Okay, so let's print this out to make sure we see that looking correct. And we think layout's working. And then we call up here when we say go for recap, we are applying the scores and junk. Then down here, we're calling layout now. And then we're calling go sequence. We wait till the sequence is done, and then we call clean up now. So let's actually make sure that we make it to here. Oh, the other thing is live tiles. That's probably why this isn't working, is because I'm not adding this to the tiles. So right here, that's why all this isn't working. This line was missing. Weird junk hanging out here. Yeah. Okay, so that's going to fix possibly most of this. The reason they weren't animating is because they weren't being found. It's because they weren't in the list. Okay, here we go. Let's try this. Where's this going? Kind of looks like it's going to bucket 3, but it might be bouncing off the wall. Definitely bouncing off the wall. I think it's going in bucket 2. I'm going to go for it because I want the points. So you can type in either just the number of the bucket. Ooh, this might be going into 1. Or you can type exclamation point and then the number of the bucket. That's going in 1. Dang it. So see, if I want to change my vote, I say 1. You'll see here it says Wallaber already voted. Zeratok going for a 3. What were you expecting to happen there? Okay, check it out. It worked. So now the score's updated. Faker 13 must have got it right because they now have 1,000 points. Faker 15 got 750 and Faker 11 got 100. And now we go to the next round. Okay. Hey, this is looking pretty good. All right, let's see here. What bucket is it going into? It's going into bucket 2. It's going to bounce off that little wall there and just launch into 2. Ooh, maybe not. Okay, so there's a really long delay, Zeratok. Interesting. That's good to know. I have it. I will make these segments longer. Oh man, I totally got this wrong. But it's interesting to know how long the delay can actually be. This game is intended to be constantly going during a stream, so it doesn't need to be super fast. Oh, look at that. That worked pretty good. Okay. Here, let me pause it and let's try setting these to like 15 seconds each, so an extra 5 seconds. Okay, give this a try. Ooh, this is a tough one. I don't know where this is going. So here now we have 15 seconds per voting section. Now we get a little more information. Oh boy. I think it's going in 3. And like I said, I haven't added in the grace thing where it will attribute it to the correct score, even if, you know, allowing for at least some delay. Oh, I'm wrong. I'm super wrong. It's going in 1 or 2. So when you're sitting here only looking at this, it feels a little slow to be like 15 seconds per segment, but ideally if this is happening during a stream, other things are going on, maybe it's fine, you know. We'll see. Definitely went in 2. So here we go. Here's the final reveal. Went in 2. And so only the fake players got some points there. Us real players did not. This is a tough one. It's going to go up there and it's going to hit that ramp and maybe kind of roll off of it. Too scared to vote based on this. Let's see what this shows. Ooh. That looks like it's going to hit that little angled piece again. So it's either 2 or 1 would be my guess. I'm going to wait one more round because I want some points. Okay. That gives me confidence to call it. It is hard. Let's see what we get this time. This is the final one. Oh, yeah. It was a toss-up between 2 and 3, but looks like it's going in 2. Okay, thanks for the debugging and the testing. So here we go. Here's the final reveal. Yeah, it went to 2, so what happened there? Did I get... I didn't even see myself in that list. Let's see. Where's this one going? Hard to say. I think it's going to take a wild bounce near the bottom. I'm not sure if I got some points a second ago there. We have to pause the game here. Ooh. Boom, boom, boom. Going in 2. Ball is very bouncy right now. Here we go. Here's the 100. This is going to tell us a lot. Oh. Dang. Yeah, that was probably smart to wait. I thought it was going to get more of a rebound. Did not. All right, so here's the final results. Okay, pause. So what's happening here? I'm here. I just lost 150 points. Zeratok, you're here. You now have 100 points. So I've got 150. You've got 100. Ooh, geez. Is it going to bounce off this? Or is it going right past it? You did. You got 100 points. Oh, okay. I believe that is going to bounce back and forth and fall down in bucket 3. Right? Totally a 3. Yeah. Totally a 3. Finally going to get some points here. Now, yeah. All right, this is a good start, though. This sequence is kind of connected together now. There we go. This is a little screwed up. It shouldn't be... during a voting section, it shouldn't be going this far. So I'm going to have to look at the logic. Something is a little screwy. There we go. So the result of that was... I moved up to, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th place. And Zeratok, you're in 7th, 8th, 9th place with 400 points. These fake players are getting very lucky. Cool. This is pretty good progress. So I need to look at that that bug where sometimes the playback goes farther down into the buckets than it's supposed to. I have a theory. Do I have a theory on what's causing that? I'm not entirely sure, actually. Ooh, man. So last time I thought it would bounce back into 2 in this scenario. I'm going to claim that it's going to, but I don't know. So there's a thing where when I let it run... See, this is a good example where the last vote for 100 points is giving you, you know, almost the answer, but not guaranteed, right? It's not like the ball's all the way into the bucket already. But occasionally it's doing the thing where when it gets down to that last 100, it's already showing you well into the bucket. There, I got 1,200 points. Other people lost points. Here we go. So like this one, see, might have the problem where when it gets down to the 100, it's going to be showing us too much. And I think it's because I'm not resetting something properly. I'll have to double check though. Let's see what we get here. Getting a lot of bounces. Where's that going to go? That's going to fall to about here. think it's going to bounce into 3. Try to get my vote in early. And I need to iterate on the scoring system for sure. Oh, I just slightly underestimated the momentum. I'm way off now. Let's see what this one shows for the 100. Does it show too far or does it show correct? See, that's fine. That one's fine. I think it might be the case where there's a really long duration because the ball bounced a lot, and then the next round is a shorter duration is when the problem happens, I think. Which leads me to believe I'm not resetting something that I should be. There we go. And this whole scene obviously needs to be better. We'll see if this one has the problem. You should not be losing. Oh, you might be losing points for absence right now, but it's a bug. That's a good one. We need to fix that. Now, if you miss a vote, I'm not planning on doing anything. Although I think if you miss a bunch, we might start taking points away. This is a pretty tricky trajectory here. So this one, the 100 is... See, the 100 for this one is... Oh, no. The 100's okay. Okay, I just got to figure out what the problem is sometimes then. Because this one looks good. And here's the final reveal. So. Yeah, that shake doesn't look very good. But this is looking pretty good. Yeah, let me go see if I can fix that bug right now. So it should be that when we go to start a new right here, it's resetting the pending score. So I'm not sure. I have to look at that more. This is pretty good progress though for today. So yeah, pretty happy with it. And next time I work on this, we'll work more on that recap screen, making it look a little nicer. Looks like I could probably make it try and fit, like show players bigger for longer before getting down to really tiny ones. And get those animations looking a little better, and then get the shuffling. Because right now it's pre-sorting based on the results, but what it should do is sort once based on the way they were, and then show the changes, and then shuffle them. I think that'll be pretty dramatic, because then you can actually be able to see that you like moved up or down. How long did this take you so far? Well, I've been streaming the entire development of this game in like about an hour and a half chunks. This is a bit long one tonight, 2 hours almost. And I think this is like the 8th stream working on it, so not too long. All right, I'm going to call it a night. Thanks so much for hanging out and helping me play test the stream. I wondered, have you fixed pointed toes on Twist for the next patch? I believe so. I did put in the code. I just need to look at it closely and make sure that I've fixed it. Yeah. I'll try to get that patch out too in the next day or two, so that means people can submit their entries for the competition on the new patch, which should have the fixed, the really big bug with the grip fixed. Ooh, arms up on landing. I haven't done that yet, but there's no particular reason I can't squeak that in. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do regain arm control after sticking the landing. Yeah. What I'm going to do is they'll land like that, and then once it's decided you landed, it'll give you the arm control back, and you can do whatever kind of little flare you want. Should be cool. All right. Yeah. Okay, so thanks again, and I will see everyone at the next stream. Have a good night. Bye.